This is exactly how I would go from working a 9-to-5 job to becoming an independent entrepreneur making $1 million within the next year. You see, I went from earning $55,000 a year in a job that I hated to having a net worth of over $100 million. And let me tell you, I made so many mistakes. But if I could go back and do it all over again, this is how I would do it, even faster and better. So here are my 10 tips to go from being a 9-to-5 team member to thinking, acting, and earning like a millionaire. Your first step to becoming a millionaire is identifying your millionaire skill. Think about it. What does a millionaire know that you don't know? So this is what I would do. I would go to Google. Google is my best friend. I actually have a hashtag with a sticker that a team member gave me that says, Google that shit, because I say this so often. So you are going to Google occupations of millionaires, and you're going to come up with a list. There's going to be things like engineer, lawyer, entrepreneur, real estate agent, and a whole bunch of other things where people are actually making $1 million a year. And if you put this on a grid where you listed out all of the opportunities, and then you listed your interest level on a scale of 1 to 5 in that career field, you're gonna have a better understanding of if you're interested in this thing. Now, the next column to look at is, do you already have knowledge in this area? So you take all of your businesses, you look at where you're interested in, you look at what your skill set is, so you identify which of these occupations you are going to choose to become a millionaire in. So when I was deciding what path I wanted to take in order to become a millionaire, what I realized is I'm not great at math, and I didn't want to go back to school to have to get some degree that was going to prolong the path for me to actually make the money that I wanted to make. So I decided to become an entrepreneur. I decided to launch a business. This was the fastest and easiest path for me based on my interest and my existing level of knowledge and skills. You have to decide what that is for you. Pick one that you are at least interested in and are willing to commit to figure out how do you become great, millionaire great, at that particular occupation. So now your second step is to stop hanging out with your broke friends. You will never become a millionaire if you cannot cut broke people out of your life. I remember when I had this epiphany that I was going to create this business 6 years ago. I started telling my friends at the time about it, and I thought that I was going to be met with excitement, with questions, with just some level of support, to be honest with you. And instead of any of that, my friends made fun of me, asked kind of condescending questions, and what was more hurtful than the condescending questions was the way that they would just ignore this new thing that I was doing that I was excited about. They would continue to talk about old bullshit, all of the old stories, things that were happening in their life that might not honestly be that interesting or that different. And here I was putting all of this time into becoming this next version of myself. I was learning new things. I was staying up late. I was meeting new people to create a new life for myself that I was so excited about. And they couldn't have been any less interested. Your energy is finite. Your broke friends, if they're not interested in hearing about your goals and they aren't excited about supporting you, they're going to invalidate you, which might actually cause you to give up in the process. That's not what you're here to do. You're here to actually learn the steps to make it easier on yourself. And the fastest way to make this easy on you is to get rid of friends who are going to hold you back in the process. Now that you've removed your broke friends from your life, you have to replace them with rich teachers. So think of whoever your idol is. For me, this was Elena Cardone. I wanted to be interesting enough. I wanted to be valuable enough that she would want to hang out with me. And what I realized is Elena would not be hanging out with Natalie in present state. So what does Natalie in present state need to start doing so that if I get the opportunity to be in Elena's presence, she is interested in having a conversation with me? And let me tell you, this advice is only for people who are really willing to be honest with themselves, because some people might lie to themselves and think, well, there's no reason that Elon Musk wouldn't want to hang out with me or Grant Cardone wouldn't want to hang out with me. But if you haven't done anything great, if you haven't created anything great, why would they want to spend time with you? And that's a hard pill to swallow. However, once you swallow it, then you can get into action. The most practical tip I can give you is to identify the 10 most successful people in the specific field that you decide that you want to pursue, or you want to become a millionaire in, and you study them. So I chose the Cardones specifically to study because they had the stats. They were a power couple. They already had $1 billion net worth, which was my target, and they worked together. Those criteria changed everything for me. So this brings me to step number 4, which is stop wasting your time. Time is your most important asset. Your ability to study, to learn, to educate yourself on more mornings, evenings, weekends, in the shower, driving. You use those opportunities to build the skill set that you are learning from the best of the best. For me, that was a combination of podcasts, YouTube videos, and books. I studied every waking minute so that I could get the education, because if you just believed that somebody knew something more than you and that's all you had to do was learn from them what they know that you don't know, that's the hack. But most people study from the wrong people. They don't set the target to begin with. They don't even think that they could become a millionaire. So all of this work just goes to waste, and then they waste their time. They waste their time with Netflix. They waste their time scrolling endlessly on social media. You see, if you want to be a millionaire, you should only be following millionaires on social media. You have to stop wasting your time on things that aren't allowing you to gain competency. If you really want to be a millionaire in your chosen field, you have to be an expert. You have to be fully competent and understand the terms, the definitions, the players, how the game works. You have to be a student of the game that you're choosing to play. Step 5 is probably the hardest for most people to accept, and it is to go into debt, which translates to you have to be willing to invest. Once you invest and you realize that the money that you have is a tool to get you to where you want to go, instead of something that you save and you hoard, all of a sudden opportunities open up. Because when you invest, you can get in the rooms with people who have done what you are trying to do. But without investing and potentially having to go into debt, you are just stuck in your house, in your car, doing what you've always done, being in the same environment you've always been in, and you never have to force yourself to become the type of person who can be in a different room. But it feels uncomfortable because nobody wants to invest before they know how to make money. But in order to make money, you have to invest. Grant Cardone has my favorite quote on this. He says, if you don't invest time and money, you will never have time and money. So for instance, a $10,000 investment in a mastermind is not what's going to make you broke. What's actually making you broke is the fact that you don't have the knowledge that is inside that $10,000 mastermind. You see, you need to understand what those teachings are, and without having access, how are you going to learn those things? You see, the first time that I invested in myself, it was a marketing course for $4,000. I did not have the $4,000 to be able to invest in this marketing course, but I recognized that I needed to get myself out there. I needed to get myself known, and the way that you do that is through promotion and through marketing. So I was at an event. It was a women's event. I was all jazzed up. I was excited. I was like, yeah, these speakers are amazing. They just were like lighting me up. I was like, what would it be like if I could be up on that stage with them one day? I deserve to be up on that stage with them one day. I'm not at that point right now, but that's what I want. So at the end of the event, they made an offer for a $4,000 marketing course, and I panicked. It's like, oh my gosh, $4,000 is so much money. And what if I don't make that money back? What if I could learn all this stuff online and then it was just a waste of money, and then I feel silly? And all of this self-doubt just started to creep in as soon as they started talking about $4,000, which was a number that I was uncomfortable with. But I made the investment. I just did it. I was like, I'm going all in because it's going to force me to become a different version of myself. And I'm unwilling in 1 year from now to be the same person that I am today. Step 6 is simply to get yourself in the room. To go from zero to a millionaire, you need to get into the rooms with people who can actually help you. If you don't get into the rooms, you're not going to become that person. I have attended so many conferences where I use them as an opportunity to say, Natalie, in 3 months from now, when you attend this event, you're going to have completed XYZ project so that you can talk about this, because you know that these types of people are going to be there, and you have to prepare yourself because right now you're lame. Right now you don't have anything to offer anybody. It's just the reality, but you are going to have something to offer somebody, because in 3 months from now, you have a target and you can create something in 3 months from now. You can create a landing page, you can create an offer, you can make movement if you know that you've committed yourself to be in a place in the future. So you become somebody in the process of attending that event that is valuable to the people that you know are going to be there. But you are never going to take the steps that are required if you don't actually commit to getting in the room. This is why for those 10 people that you are studying, find rooms that they are going to be in and invest your money to get in that room, so that when you show up, you are forcing yourself to become the type of person that they would want to spend time with. You get in proximity to people who are making $1 million, and when you are in proximity, you freaking impress the hell out of them. The next step is to find out who is going to be in this room and research the hell out of them. My motto is become the ultimate stalker, but the good kind of stalker. The stalker who is informed, the stalker who does their research and isn't creepy and weird. stalker. Don't be that kind of stalker. But the person that actually shows up and has looked up people ahead of time knows who their targets are. Because when you go to an event, the target is not meeting every single person. That would be an unsuccessful action. The target is finding the handful. And remember this, it is always a handful. You are trying to find a handful of people who can help you get to where you are trying to go. So when you look at the event ahead of time, how can you find out who is going to be in the room? Do they have a WhatsApp group? Do they have a Facebook group? How are people inside this community connecting? What's cool about living in today's day and age is that when you go to an event like this, they are likely trying to build a community, which means that they have some sort of a community already existing ahead of time. So do your freaking research. This is what millionaires do. They always go into rooms totally prepared. Your next step to acting and earning like a millionaire is learning how to sell. Because you see, the richest, most successful people you know, they all know how to sell. Making money is a game comprised of knowing how to sell. Every single day, you're going to have to sell yourself, sell your customers, and sell your future team members on who you are, what you do, and why anybody should care. So regardless of if you want to be an engineer, a lawyer, an entrepreneur, a real estate agent, you have to learn how to sell. So I strongly recommend that you are learning the skill that you decided that you are going to become a millionaire in, while concurrently learning how to sell, because sales will follow you throughout your millionaire process. The best person to teach on sales is Grant Cardone. He changed my life when I read the book Sell or Be Sold, because it teaches you how to get sold on yourself first, so that then you have confidence in selling other people on you. But if you aren't sold on you first, you're gonna have a lot of challenges selling other people, because you're gonna feel a little bit like a fraud. And to me, that is the misconception in sales, is that it's braggy, or that you have to be stumping somebody or giving them something that they don't want. It's about listening to somebody, it's about understanding their problems, and it's about you offering effective solutions to move them away from their problems. At this point, you've picked a niche, you've made new friends, you've invested time and money learning and getting into the room, and you've learned how to sell. Now it's time to start making money, but we need to be crystal clear on our goals, which is why step 9 is to set your millionaire metrics. You will never be a millionaire if you don't have millionaire metrics. The coolest thing about becoming a millionaire is that it is literally just math. If you made $2,740 a day, you would be a millionaire. So whatever it is that you are selling, you have to do the math backwards to understand how many of those units, how many of those products, how many of those services you would need to sell in order to generate $1 million. But once you understand how many units you have to sell, you do have to break it down per day, so that every single day you know what your goals are in order to hit your $1 million target. You have to get clear on your target and what you need to be doing each and every day, because as you come into challenges and roadblocks, that's okay. It is quite literally part of the process. But if you give up on the way because you become unenthused or uninspired, or you're not even looking at your targets any longer, then you're never going to get there. Knowing that you're going to come into obstacles, it's just part of the game. The final step to thinking, acting, and earning like a millionaire is to remind yourself every day that you are still broke. You should remind yourself every single day that you are broke. Now you might be thinking, Natalie, I already know that I'm broke. I don't need to be reminded every day. Yes, you do. You have to be reminded not only that you're broke today, but more importantly, what it is that you are working so hard for, so that you don't give up in the process. So my process is, I look at my vision board, I look at my bank account, I look at my vision board, I look at my bank account. I go back and forth because my reality doesn't meet my potential yet. Your reality today, where you are, your circumstances, they don't meet what your potential is. Your potential is so much greater than what you've already created. But you have to have this vision of where you're going and have a real strong conviction that you can actually become a millionaire. You can actually have what other people are able to have. You just have to learn very specific things that you don't know now in order to get there. When you simplify it and start thinking about it in that way, you actually can create your dream life. And speaking of creating your dream life, if you want to know my process for how to create a dream life, check out this video right here.